Somewhere in your house is a cat that could be pushing 15 years old, moving, sitting, staring out the window in almost exactly the same way it did as a 3-year-old. No gray muzzle creeping in the way a dog's does. No stiff, obviously aged posture. No wrinkled, sagging face the way you'd expect from any other animal that's lived that long. Veterinarians have a name for what's actually happening here. And it's not that your cat is aging slowly. It's that your cat's body has been running a quiet, deliberate cover-up for its entire adult life. And almost nobody realizes it until a vet points out just how much has actually changed underneath the surface. Let's start with the comparison that makes this genuinely strange. Take a 15-year-old dog and a 15-year-old cat and stand them side by side. The dog almost certainly shows it gray fur around the muzzle, cloudier movement, a face that's visibly settled and aged. The cat, in a huge number of cases, looks and moves remarkably close to how it did at 5. This isn't because cats age slower than dogs in some biological sense. Cats absolutely experience the same fundamental aging processes: joint wear, organ decline, muscle loss. The difference is that almost none of it shows up the way it does in other animals. And that gap between what's actually happening internally and what you can see externally is exactly what this video is about. Here's the first piece of the puzzle, and it's something most owners have never consciously registered. A cat's face barely changes shape across its entire adult life. Dogs and humans both experience visible facial aging. Skin loses elasticity, muscles around the mouth and eyes sag, wrinkles deepen. Cat faces don't do this in nearly the same way. Feline facial skin and the underlying muscle structure stay comparatively taut and structurally similar from early adulthood, well into old age. Combine that with a phenomenon researchers call neoteny, the retention of youthful, kitten-like facial proportions. Large eyes relative to face size, small nose, rounded features, into full adulthood, and you get a face that essentially looks like a slightly larger version of itself for over a decade, rather than visibly aging the way a dog's or a person's does. Now here's where fur comes in, and it's a detail that trips up even attentive owners. Yes, cats can develop gray or white hairs as they age. The same underlying biological process that grays human and canine hair happens in cats too. But most house cats have tabby, tortoiseshell, calico, or otherwise patterned and multi-toned coats, and against that kind of visual busyness, a scattering of new gray hairs is remarkably easy to miss. A solid black dog going gray around the muzzle creates stark, obvious contrast. A tabby cat developing a few lighter hairs throughout an already mixed coat pattern often just blends into the noise. The graying is genuinely happening. It's just camouflaged by the same coat pattern evolution gave cats for an entirely different reason, blending into dappled light and shadow while hunting. Here's where it gets even more interesting, because the body itself is also quietly working to disguise decline that's happening well beneath the fur. Muscle mass loss, called sarcopenia, is one of the most reliable markers of aging in almost every mammal, including cats. Vets specifically check for it by feeling along a cat's spine and hip bones, because a loss of muscle covering there is often one of the earliest, most consistent signs of significant aging. Well before anything visible changes in how the cat walks or moves, cats are remarkably good at behaviorally compensating for this decline. Instead of dramatically changing their gait the way an aging dog or human might, an aging cat tends to simply do less. Jump a little less often. Choose lower resting spots. Take slightly shorter routes. Subtle enough adjustments that an owner watching casually rarely clocks it as decline. It just looks like a slightly calmer cat. Vision offers one of the clearest windows into this hidden aging process. And it's a genuinely fascinating piece of feline biology. Most aging cats develop something called nuclear sclerosis, a normal hardening and slight clouding of the lens inside the eye that comes with age. To a casual glance, a cat's eyes can look completely normal, alert, bright, engaged. It usually takes a veterinarian with proper lighting and a close examination to actually detect the subtle haze building up in the lens. changes that have likely been developing gradually for years, by the time anyone officially notices them. So why would evolution build an animal whose aging process is this deeply hidden, when hiding decline seems like it would only benefit the animal in the short term? The answer connects directly to the same survival logic behind cats masking pain and illness. In the wild, and among feral cat colonies even today, visible decline, slower movement, a duller coat, weaker posture doesn't just risk predator attention. It signals weakness to rival cats competing for the same territory and resources. An aging cat that visibly displayed every sign of decline would essentially be broadcasting an invitation for a younger, stronger rival to challenge it for territory, food access, or mating opportunities. Cats whose aging process stayed comparatively hidden, whose faces, movement, and behavior didn't dramatically advertise decline, held their position and status longer. Over enough generations, that selection pressure shaped a species where the outward signs of aging are subtle, almost to the point of invisibility, while the underlying biological reality of getting older proceeds on exactly the same timeline as it does in any other mammal. This creates a genuinely important blind spot for cat owners, and it's precisely why veterinarians increasingly push for structured senior wellness exams, starting around age 7, well before most owners would ever suspect anything has changed. Studies comparing owner perception to actual veterinary findings consistently show a significant gap. Owners reporting their cat seems perfectly fine, while blood work, dental exams, and physical palpation reveal kidney function decline, arthritis, thyroid changes, or dental disease already well underway. It's not that owners are inattentive. It's that the animal in front of them has spent its entire life being extremely good at not showing exactly the kind of decline a vet is specifically trained to look for. Think about what this actually means for the cat curled up on your couch right now. Whatever its real age, whatever's genuinely happening beneath that familiar face and that same relaxed posture it's had for years, you are looking at an animal running one of the most effective aging disguises in the entire mammal kingdom, not out of vanity, not by coincidence, but because for the vast majority of feline evolutionary history, looking exactly as capable and unchanged as possible, for as long as possible, was a genuine survival advantage, one your perfectly safe, perfectly loved house cat still carries out flawlessly, purely out of habit, with absolutely nothing left in its actual life to prove. If this changed how you think about your cat's age, hit subscribe, because this channel keeps uncovering the ancient instincts hiding behind the everyday things your cat does. And if you have an older cat that still acts and looks exactly like it did years ago, send them this video. It might be time for that senior wellness exam.